Welcome to day 366. This is the last render for real. Why is there an extra? I don't know. Technically this is when I started a render every day a year ago, but somehow I finished early. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So how did I do a render every day? How did that happen? Well, I don't really know, but I will tell you there's a trick to it. The trick is to spend as little time as possible on each render, no more than 30 minutes. Now, I've broken this rule a bunch of times. Sometimes I would spend an hour or 2 hours on a render, but for the most part, usually it was under 30, no more than 30. It depends on the render. Next, I would have templates for myself to speed things up. That way I didn't have to keep putting in settings and stuff like that every single day, because that would be really annoying to do. I would create a custom startup file for Blender that would have all the settings that I needed for a render. I would always use cycles. I never really used Eevee because I don't like it that much. I think I might have used it for like 1 or 2 renders, maybe more. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Blender has this cool new feature. Well, I guess it's old now. It's called the asset browser. And you can essentially have a bunch of different blend files full of stuff. And you can tell the asset browser, hey, look for stuff in this blend file. And you can essentially access it from any scene you want, any blend file, any project, and you can just drag your stuff in. And this was really useful for dragging in the blenderman and the wireframe blenderman and stuff. You can also use it to hold stuff like lights and materials. Definitely very useful to have. Definitely a saving grace for a render every day. I edited everything in Blender. For the first 20 days, I think, I used DaVinci Resolve, which is not a great idea because it's slow and it takes a long time to open, and Blender just opens instantly whenever you want. And so I started using that instead. And that was the best idea I've ever had. I got to a point to where I was going on a vacation, and so I had to do the renders on the go, and it wasn't a problem. All I did was I just used my laptop, and since I was already doing everything on Blender, the editing, the actual renders, it wasn't a problem. I just had Blender on my laptop, and so I did them on the go. And you can tell which ones I use my laptop for, because that's when I have my face cam on and I'm in various places. The audio quality is really bad. There's no music because I don't have music on my laptop. You can tell. Here's something that you've probably wanted to know for a long time. What even is the Blender Man? Why is he so cool? Why is he so goddamn awesome? Well, the Blender Man is actually just a CC0 base male model used for scaling and stuff. He's not a part of Blender. He doesn't come with Blender at all. You have to find him on your own. So technically he's not really the Blender Man, he's kind of just the man. But honestly, he is the Blender Man. He is not the man. He is the Blender Man. I've caught people using the Blender Man for their own projects, and then I'll be like, oh my god, it's the Blender Man. But it's not really the Blender Man. It's whatever they have. They don't know it's the Blender Man because they didn't make him the Blender Man. I made the Blender Man. Even if he is just some regular guy, just some man, to me, he is the Blender Man. What's the lore behind the Blenderman? Well, to be honest, I don't really know. He kind of just showed up and he kind of just exists. He's kind of mean, you know, he'll kind of just kill anything that he deems, you know, annoying, which I think is pretty mean. You also have the evil Blenderman, which the joke is that he's just an evil version of the regular Blenderman, an opposite of the regular one. So as a result, he's actually really nice to random people, but he doesn't like people like the wireframe Blenderman, who he has killed in a render every day before. I don't know if I've brought the wireframe Blenderman back since he died. I can't remember at the moment, but he is alive. The wireframe Blenderman is just like the regular Blenderman, the solid one. They're kind of similar, except one's pink and wireframe and the other one is blue and solid. Technically he's not blue, and I've said this before, but technically the Blenderman is green. The reason why he looks blue is because he glows blue. He emits blue color as a light. If you were to turn off the light, he would be green. He would not be blue. The reason I have him the green color and the blue light is it gives it this nice, this really nice color, and it looks fantastic. If I were to just make it, you know, his color blue and the light blue, it wouldn't look nearly as good as it does with the green and the glowing blue. So that's why he's green. There's also the matter of Blenderman's offspring. I don't really know anything about that at all. They kind of just show up in the renders, you know, as a joke, because I think it's funny that the Blenderman has like 1 billion children that no one really knows about, including himself. There's also the matter of Blenderman's mortality, and how there's multiple of the Blenderman. Like, are they all the same? Are they all different? They are the same. They are all the same. It's like, let's say your body dies and you're dead. You're dead now. But your memories and your soul get transferred to another body. That's essentially what's happening to the Blenderman. When he dies, his soul will kind of just leave, and then he'll go to the new Blenderman because he has a stash of himself. You know, he's bought multiple copies of his body. Most of them are empty. There's this weird red one that appears in one of the renders. That one's not empty. I didn't really get to elaborate on that because before I could, the render every day was over. But there is this red one that exists, and it'll probably fuck him over at some point. And I think that's all the Blenderman stuff that I can think of right now. Also, this is something that I just want to mention just because I keep forgetting to mention it. I stopped mentioning it altogether in a render every day because I kept forgetting. Patreon. The .blend file for every single render is on Patreon for you to just download and have and use for whatever you want. It's just $1, and then you can just have every render, and then you can quit paying if you want. I just thought I'd point that out now that the whole thing is over. I thought maybe someone might be interested in that. So, it's there if you want it. Let's see, what else is there for me to talk about? I don't really know. The point is, I did it. Even if I did end up with an extra one somehow, I genuinely don't know how that happened. I might have an idea on how that, but I don't know for sure. So I'm making this extra one just to be safe. So I can say absolutely for sure, yeah, I did it. And then I can spit in the mouth of whoever said that I couldn't do it that one time. enjoy my spit. That's it. That's the video.